Hey, what's up guys? John from Mongo Fishing. Time for part 2 of the Lake Ouachita BFL video. I know it's been like 3 weeks since I dropped that other video. I apologize. Been super busy. I've been doing a couple other tournaments. I have 2 tournament videos I'm working on right now. But anyway, let's get into this. I want to break down thought processes, sort of weather, stuff like that, right? So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button right down there along with the bell notification button so you guys get notified every single time I put out another video. The point of this video is to pair with the tournament video right there so that you can learn why I did what I did, and instead of just going out and fishing areas that you see in the videos, kind of learn why I fished those areas. It's not any of my spots are secret honey holes or anything like that. If you don't understand why I'm fishing it, then to go there and fish the spot is irrelevant anyway. This is stuff that can be done on any lake pretty much. So it's not spot specific. So let's get into this. Okay, all right, the first place we stopped at as we were running down from takeoff, I don't remember what boat number we were boat 100 and something. So we had a really late boat number. As we're running down, we saw a bunch of birds diving. And so birds diving means they're feeding on shad. So let's stop and take advantage of this food chain right here. We assumed they were going to be stripers. They ended up being stripers. But the thing with stripers is largemouth will mix in with that. And vice versa. If you have a school of largemouth, stripers will mix in with that. They're opportunistic feeders. So just because you know it's a school of stripers doesn't mean there's not some 5-pounders sitting in there too. So we stopped, made some casts, yep, caught a striper, and fished a little bit more and said, all right, let's move on. So we ran down to the next area. We were kind of originally planning on stopping anyway, but again, with the late boat number, kind of had a feeling that we were going to get beat there by a bunch of people. And sure enough, we did. We pull up on the area, and there's like 6 or 8 boats already sitting there. So, you know, as we suspected. So instead of stopping there, we decided we'd just keep going. And we went really, really far down the South Fork. Again, these aren't secret spots. They just set up with how we wanted to fish. I didn't practice. I did not practice for this tournament in any way, shape, or form. My thought process was I didn't really want to go in with a practice interfering with my brain, because sometimes it can throw me for a loop. I just wanted to go fish conditions, fish what I thought would work versus fishing anything that I may or may not have figured out in practice. And so, like I said, as we're running down, my co was like, hey man, I've got some spots, you know, we talked about on the night prior, and some of those are on the spots that I was wanting to go hit at anyway. So it just worked out. That's where we went. We fished some of his stuff that I'd never been to before, but I had saved in my GPS as areas to go check out. And we fished some stuff that I had fished before. And it just worked out that he and I had the same sort of fishing mindset, if you will. He wanted to go throw a jig in some of these areas. I wanted to go crank him. The area is set up perfect that we could do both. And so that's what we did. I cranked, he threw a jig. And then, you know, I was throwing a silent crank because that's what I like to do. I think the silent crankbait bite is a bite that gets overlooked by a bunch of people because they just want loud, noisy, obnoxious. And I think silent just works. It's sneaky. And I think the fish just get so used to being, I don't know, bombarded with loud, noisy, obnoxious crankbaits that when a silent one comes by, they just pounce on it. So that's what I like to do this time of year is I'm throwing a silent crankbait. Most of the time, it's a Spro MD50. And this thing has rattles, but you probably can't hear it. I can feel it, but they're like soft padded. You don't really hear it very much. So weather conditions. So we get to the area, water temp is 43 degrees. Not exactly ideal cranking water, but it's stained. There's a little bit of current there. Got rock transitions. Sets up with what I want to do. So we caught my first 3 fish there. He caught 2, 1 on a jig, 1 on a crankbait. Then we left there. In fact, my big fish, he had just thrown a loud, you know, a rattling crankbait, and it just landed, and he just reeled past there. I threw, landed, I mean, not even a foot away, caught that 5-pounder. So again, I think that's the power of silence moving through there. That loud, noisy crankbait, that fish did not want it. I throw this quiet one in, bam, snatch it up. Oh, that is a fish too. That is a fish. I thought it was a stick at first. It's not a stick. It's a nice fish. 2.5?
Oh yeah.
3? 4? 5?
Oh, that's a 5. And you just threw right where I was.
It's that silent. It's the silent. I'm telling you. I got it. Get back to fishing. Get you a fish, dude.
I brought my scale if you want to check it.
I got one. I think he's a 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Watch your feet. A little later, I went to a rattly crankbait right before he caught his second fish, his first crankbait fish. I threw a rattly crankbait. He threw a silent right, you know, 5 feet from where I cast mine, and he caught his fish. So again, same thing, power of silence. Silence is golden. Never pass up the opportunity to shut up. Okay, so yeah, we left that area, went to the area that we originally planned on stopping before. And now there's a lot less boats. So we pull up there, fished a bunch of shoreline with nothing. I mean, just a bunch, probably a quarter mile, nothing. But I only need 2 more fish. He needs 3 more fish, and I think we can do it here. I was wrong. I caught 1 more, and I lost 1 more. And those are the only 2 bites we had on any of that shoreline. Leave there and run back to the area where we caught the striper first thing in the morning. Because again, bass will sometimes mix in with stripers. So we went back to that same pocket, and he caught his 4-pounder or whatever on an A-rig in like a foot deep of water. I mean, dirt shallow on an A-rig, right there, like within 50 yards of where we fished earlier in that morning. So same exact pocket.
There he is. Oh, that's good.
Striper. Oh, you're right. That's a sea donkey. I saw him roll over. I thought it was a striper. Good job, dude.
Oh yeah. That's what I was looking for.
That's a check. That is a check, sir.
That's what I was looking for.
Now, one thing I did notice that day, sort of pattern-wise, if you will, his big fish and my big fish both came inside the pockets, but they weren't very far in the pockets. They were within 50 yards. They had not moved very far back. So as we fished further back, we weren't getting any bites. So eventually, near the end of the day, we just quit going back to the back pockets. We fished through all the way through a couple of them in the morning, and then, like I said, later on, we just pushed in a little bit, caught our fish, left. They just weren't back in the back yet. But the majority of our bites came out in Main Lake still, but our bigger bites came inside the pockets. Okay, so that pattern, man, let me tell you, again, it's not spot specific, and that's what you guys need to learn, is throwing this crankbait on rock transitions is something you can do across all of Lake Ouachita. I mean, I've done this where we did it in this video. I've done it in, you know, as far, let's see, as far east as the Blakeleys and as far west as South Fork. I've done it up the Middle Fork River. I've done it up Iron Fork River. I've done it down at Pollard Creek, Crystal Springs, inside Crystal Springs and outside of Crystal Springs. I've done it down at Brady. I've done it up in Cedar. I mean, I've done it pretty much all over this lake. It's just something you can do. It's not spot specific. Now, you might go through a bunch of areas where you don't catch anything, but then you run across one little patch and you just sack them up and you get 5 fish and, you know, 30 casts. I mean, it just happens that way. So it's just something you got to, I mean, it's in my opinion, an overlooked pattern. It's just cranking rock transition banks, Main Lake rock transition banks in winter and spring. Nothing special about it. Okay, so statistics. In order to win that tournament, big weights, man. It took 21.14 on the boater side to win. It took 10.08 to cash a check. I finished in 21st place with 4 fish for 12.08, so I did cash a check. There were 143 boats and 18 zeros, so like 12.5% of the boater side zeroed. On the co-angler side, my buddy Tim just put a whooping on the co's, and he had 18.08 on the co side to win. There was a 17-pound bag that came in on the co side also. In order to cash a check on the co side, it took 3 pounds 15 ounces, and my co finished in 7th, 9 pounds 7 ounces, finished in 7th place. There was 141 co's, and 71 of them zeroed. So only 70 co's caught fish, 71 co's zeroed, so a little more than 50% of the co field. But I've said this before a bunch of times, as a co-angler, it's a lot harder to catch a fish. It's a lot easier to cash a check, but it's a lot harder to catch the fish in the first place, to cash that check. So that's that, guys. After 2 events, I'm sitting in 13th place for AOI, amongst some absolute hammers, with Greer's Ferry coming up in about 3 weeks. And that's going to be a slugfest. If you don't have a 5 bass limit, you're just done. You have to sack them up on Greer's. It's going to be a slugfest. Anyway, guys, that's that. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. Hey, please share the video with your friends and family. I'm trying to grow this channel, get bigger. We're over 3,000, which means there's a 3,000 subscriber giveaway video coming very soon. Just trying to get my ducks in a row for that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. In fact, comment anyway, please. That's how the algorithm knows to recommend this video for other people. If you guys learned something, let me know, man, please. If you guys like these part 2s, let me know. Give it a thumbs up. Again, drop a comment. If you guys have any questions, like I said, drop it down below. As always, guys, get on the water, be safe, and go stick some lips.